Hello and welcome back to the Wargamer and another painting tutorial. This time I'll be showing you how to paint the US LCI from Warlord Games' Cruel Seas. For this tutorial I'll be using the Army Painter range of paints. Start off painting your ship by applying a primer. This will give us a better surface to paint from by allowing the later layers of paint to adhere to the surface of the ship. We would recommend using the Army Painter's Uniform Grey Spray Primer for this. This paint is a great starting colour as we can not only cover it easily with other paints, but also gives us a good starting colour for the ship's hull. The hull of the ship already has its base colour of uniform grey, so we don't need to do much else to it. However, to help bring out those details, we can dry brush a lighter coloured paint over the surface. For this task, we will be using ash grey. To dry brush, take a medium-sized brush and dip it into your paint. Remove the excess onto a piece of paper until only a small amount of paint remains in the bristles. Then lightly drag your brush over the surface of the ship. You will find that the paint will gather on the hard edges and raised details, leaving the darker uniform grey visible in the recesses. By dry brushing in this way, we can quickly and easily pick out many of the ship's details. Now that the main bulk of the ship has been base coated and dry brushed, we can now start to pick out some of the smaller details dotted about the ship's deck and hull. For this step, we'll be using Necromancer Cloak to paint the guns, depth charges and anchors. Even though we are using quite a dark paint, you may find that you need more than one coat. It is recommended that you thin your paint with a little water first and apply a couple of thin coats to get an even coverage. Manning each of the LCI's guns are a pair of crew members who will be painting in the next few steps. We'll be starting at the bottom and painting their blue trousers using wolf grey. At this stage, don't worry if you overspill onto the other areas of the crew members, as we can touch these mistakes up in later steps. To paint our crew members' life jackets and the two lifeboats at the rear of the ship, we'll be using desert yellow. You may find that you will need to apply a couple of watered down coats of this paint in order to get a good, solid coverage. To paint the shirt sleeves of our crew, we'll want to use the same paint that we dry brushed onto the hull earlier, ash grey. The faces and hands of the crew members are very small, so it's not necessary to paint them. However, if you're feeling brave, you can base coat these small areas using Kobold Skin. We'll be keeping the crew's helmets the same colour as our original base coat of the ship. However, if you made any mistakes, you can repaint the helmet using uniform grey. The first wash will be using dark tone, however we don't want to be applying it straight from the pot as it will be much too strong. Instead we want to create a mixture of 1 part Quickshade mixing medium and 1 part dark tone. This will reduce the strength of the wash, creating a more subtle shading. With your wash mix, you can now apply it across the grey areas of the miniature. Focus this wash into the recesses of the hull, but for the remaining sections such as the depth charges, crew uniforms and guns, you can apply the wash across the whole area. The wash should gather in the recesses, creating the effect of shadows, which will help to improve the level of detail. After allowing the dark tone wash to dry, we can now apply a wash of soft tone over the lifeboats, life jackets and the crew skin. Follow the same steps as with our previous wash, and remember to mix in the Quickshade mixing medium once again. And here we have the completed LCI. You may have noticed a few extra details such as the markings, paint chips and rust, which I applied using the same steps as detailed in my Cruel Seas extra details video. Whilst I focus on the LCI for this video, you could easily apply the same techniques to other ships in the US fleet. You can find a full list of all the paints that I've used in this tutorial in the description below, along with any other equipment that I've used to create this video, such as my everlasting wet palette. If you enjoyed this video, do let me know in the comments below, and if you haven't done so already, be sure to check out my Patreon page if you would like to support me in making these videos. If you have any questions or would just like to chat with others who enjoy my channel, I've set up a Discord server which you can find a link to in the description below. So the only thing left to say is, thanks for watching and goodbye.